Welcome to Quilt Like an Artist. Today I'm going to walk you through the creation of this collage portrait using only fabric scraps. Here is the pile of scraps that I'm going to be using, and this is what my setup looks like. I have golden matte medium, some old stiff brushes, and a reject canvas painting from years ago. And if you think I don't have more reject paintings, have a look at this stack and this little corner. And believe me, there are more upstairs in storage. Okay, let's get going. As you can see, this was once a horse, a blue horse. And so what I'm doing is applying matte medium, and I'm starting with scraps from actual quilt blocks. So all of these in the beginning are stitched and sewn with seam allowances and bulk. So I need to use a lot of matte medium to get it to soak through all the layers of fabric and stick down. There are extra threads that go along with this. It's just part of the process. Sometimes I pick them out, sometimes I leave them in, sometimes I brush them to the edge of the fabric with the brush. Just depends on how I feel at the moment. I do like some of the background on this painting, so I'm hoping that when I'm done with this, I will have allowed some of it to show through. We'll see. Sometimes I get carried away. And as you probably know if you've watched some of my previous videos, I do not have any idea what this is going to be until very near the end. I'm just applying these fabrics and randomly placing them wherever. Sometimes it's to cover up something particularly ugly, sometimes it's to cover up something that in this case says horse. It just depends. Sometimes there's no reason at all. Like right now. Even the scrap colors that I chose when I started this project, I didn't, it looks like I matched the blues with the blue horse, but in truth, I grabbed them for their scale, and I guess I did grab them for color, but I wasn't thinking about the canvas that it was going to go on at the time. I was just going through my bin, sort of sorting for smaller pieces. And then when I grabbed, I had between a red horse and a blue horse, and so the blue horse won out. I must be, in a blue, having a blue day today, I don't know. But I was pretty happy to see how they coordinated. Made it kind of fun. It felt like it was off to a good start. A little indecisiveness going on here. So in that case, it broke up the line between the white or cream and the blue. So if I'm trying to kind of deconstruct what's underneath, that sometimes helps to cross those lines and blend what's underneath with what by using what's on top. You can start to see that this process of using these sewn quilt block scraps really creates a very thick piece of work. And it's almost, well, it's not quite sculptural, but it's pretty thick. And I always think, ooh, maybe I should sand it once it dries, but I have never done that. And it is on a canvas. I'm not sure I could sand it very well. If it was on wood, of course, that would work. So maybe someday I'll give that a go and hopefully remember to turn the camera on. If you do this process and you don't use sewn pieces, you just use fabric scraps, it goes much smoother, pun intended, but it goes faster because you don't have to go back and keep pushing it down because, because those bulky ones just kind of want to pop back off. So probably save about half the time if you just use flat fabric. But then, you don't get the detail that you get with this. I think it's worth it to take the extra time and use the quilt scraps. But that's just me. The other thing that I think is fun about this process is that if you hang this when it's done and someone sees it from across the room, you don't notice how lumpy and bumpy it is. And you just see it as a whole. And then, of course, as you get closer, you go, holy smokes. Look at all these lumps and bumps and all these quilting seams. But that too, I think it makes it interesting. Some people might think it's hideous, but I think it's interesting. Even if it's interesting only because people are saying, what in the world is she doing? Why would someone do this? That makes it interesting. I am going to stop babbling now and play some music. Hopefully you'll like the music. The music always seems to be a little controversial. Someone usually doesn't like it and someone else does like it. So fingers crossed I picked the right music. I think that is the hardest thing about making the videos. And of course I pick music I like. So I like the music, but oh well. Here we go. I thought I'd share that the name of this song coming up is called The Girl Who Saw Magic. What a cool title, huh? So as I'm looking at this on the screen while I'm editing, I can see that it looks definitely like it could be a face. And as we know, it is a portrait in the end. However, at this time, I'm thinking a big bowl of a vase with some big flowers hanging down, maybe. And the truth of it is, it does turn out to be a portrait, of course, but it's actually upside down. So what the orange is on the bottom that looks like it could be a neck is actually the top of her head. So, once you know, you know, but at this point, I don't know. And so it's really kind of fun to see it again from a different perspective. it was really fun to find these tiny little strips in the scrap bag. I think it was fun because it's so much easier to work with them here than it would be in a quilt. Of course, you couldn't use them in a quilt, they'd be too tiny, but it's the little things. See it? If you squint, it looks like a shiny glass base with an eyebrow. So I will tell you right now, I stopped here in a moment and I made some lunch and I sat and stared at this thing while I ate. And then suddenly I knew exactly what I wanted to do. And I jumped up and I started working. And guess what I forgot to do? Turn on the camera. So here is the finished piece. And you see the orange on top? That I thought could have been a neck. Oh gosh, this is why this is so much fun for me. So I hope it was fun for you. Thank you for watching. And if you're still watching now, thanks for sticking it out to the end. And I will see you in the next video.